My sister slept with my husband while I was in labor and sent me proof. Now she's pregnant, alone, and begging me to forgive her. My sister Samantha, 34F, and I, 33F, have never gotten along, and our relationship has been bad for as long as I can remember. I want to get that out of the way immediately because I know my judgment might sound biased later on, but this context matters. Ever since we were kids, Samantha has had this intense need to copy me or one-up me in everything I did. If I showed interest in something, she would jump in right after and make it her personal mission to outperform me. In school, it didn't matter what it was. Debate club, chess, tennis, anything. If I joined, she followed. And if I enjoyed something, she made sure to turn it into a competition. There was one sport that meant everything to me. I've been involved in it practically since birth. And as I grew older, I dedicated an insane amount of time to training. I'm not trying to brag, but I became genuinely good at it and won several awards that reflected how much effort I put in. When I was around 15, Samantha suddenly decided she wanted to compete in the same sport. To my surprise, our parents allowed it. The problem was that she never put in the same level of effort. She barely practiced, showed up late, and mostly used training sessions to mock me or make passive-aggressive comments about my skills. When competition day came, it was painfully obvious she wasn't anywhere near the level of the other kids. Still, she expected to walk away with a major title. I ended up winning first place. My parents were thrilled, but Samantha completely lost it. She started crying and screaming in front of everyone, causing such a scene that my parents had to escort her out of the venue. It was humiliating for them and incredibly awkward for everyone else. Later that night, my parents tried to calmly explain to her that everyone has different strengths and that she didn't need to compete with me over everything. They told her they were proud of her regardless of awards. Instead of listening, Samantha turned on me. She started yelling, grabbed my trophy, and smashed it in a fit of rage right in front of our parents. That moment crushed me. I had worked unbelievably hard for that award, and she destroyed it without a second thought. My parents scolded her, but she didn't care at all. They eventually put her in therapy, but she refused to talk about her jealousy or resentment toward me. If anything, things only got worse as we got older. Getting ready for school every morning became a nightmare. She would mock my clothes, insult my hair, and tell me she was embarrassed to be related to someone as ugly as me. For context, I've always been tall and slim with long red hair. I preferred oversized clothes, while Samantha loved skirts and crop tops. Despite what she said, I knew I wasn't ugly. I got plenty of attention from boys even back then, which only made her angrier. Whenever my mom scolded her for being cruel at home, Samantha shifted the bullying to school, where she knew she could get away with it. She constantly bragged about having cooler friends, meaning the popular crowd, while I preferred sticking with people I actually liked. I've always been an introvert, and nothing like her personality-wise. She'd stand in the hallways with her friends, loudly judging people. If I walked past, she'd joke that I wasn't her real sister and was probably adopted. When I was 16, I started a small blog on WordPress. I had no idea what I was doing, but I loved writing and wanted an outlet for my thoughts. Over time, I managed to build around 2,000 subscribers, and a few local businesses reached out to me to promote their products. At first, they just sent free items. Later on, as my blog grew, I started getting paid. My parents were shocked when they found out I was earning money doing something I genuinely loved. My dad helped me open a bank account in my name, with him as a co-owner until I was legally an adult so I could save for college. When Samantha found out, she demanded I share the money with her, claiming it was unfair that I was earning while she wasn't. I flat out refused and told her she was welcome to try blogging herself. She tried to get my parents on her side, but they refused, so she started her own blog. At first, she mocked me, saying writing was easy and that she was a far better writer than I was. But when her blog didn't gain any traction, she became furious. She constantly asked how I was getting brand deals and pressured me to promote her articles on my platform because we're sisters. I refused. She had insulted my work for years and suddenly wanted my help. On top of that, I honestly didn't enjoy her writing. After a few months of seeing no results, she gave up entirely. When it came time for college, things only got worse. Our mom had gone to an Ivy League school, one that both my sister and I had grown up dreaming about. Samantha applied there, along with an even more prestigious Ivy League university, but she was rejected from both. In the end, she enrolled in a university in our city. It was a good school, just not on the same level as an Ivy. When it was my turn to apply, Samantha constantly told me not to even bother with Ivy League schools. She insisted that if she couldn't get in, there was absolutely no way I would. I tried explaining that my grades were excellent and that academics were what those schools primarily looked at, but she brushed it off and claimed my personality wasn't the right fit for places like that. I ignored her and applied to my mom's alma mater anyway. When I got the acceptance email, I didn't even feel excited at first. I felt anxious. I was genuinely scared to tell Samantha because I knew exactly how she would react. My parents eventually broke the news to her during a weekend dinner. As expected, she didn't take it well at all. She flat out refused to believe I had been accepted. When she saw my official acceptance letter, she accused me of faking it, claiming it made no sense that I got in when she, the better student, had been rejected. At that point, my parents and I were exhausted. I had never viewed her as competition, yet she went out of her way to tear down every achievement I worked hard for. My dad tried to explain that she could have simply congratulated me. My mom suggested therapy again, hoping it might finally help. That's when Samantha completely exploded. She yelled that she was their first child, so she couldn't possibly be the problem, and screamed that she never even wanted a sibling in the first place. Then she stormed out in the middle of dinner. That was the moment I decided to keep my distance. We weren't kids anymore, and I realized she should have grown out of this jealousy by now. College changed my life in ways I didn't expect. I made new friends, built a support system, and finally felt free to just exist without constantly being compared to someone else. The distance allowed me to focus on my own growth instead of reacting to Samantha's need to compete. I explored new interests, discovered passions that were entirely mine, and for the first time, I wasn't living under her shadow. I loved the freedom of being myself without everything turning into a rivalry. While I genuinely hoped my sister would find her own path, our relationship remained strained. And once she could no longer compete with me academically, she shifted her focus to our personal lives instead. Anytime I started dating someone before she did, she became passive-aggressive about it. When my boyfriend Ethan, 35M, and I decided to move in together, my sister never missed a chance to make passive-aggressive comments about it. Every little milestone somehow became a joke to her. Eventually, she started dating a guy named Ryan, who seemed perfect for her on paper, and for a while, her remarks noticeably toned down. I could tell she desperately wanted to be the first one to get married and have kids, but honestly, it didn't bother me. I wasn't in a rush and was perfectly content with how my life was unfolding. That Christmas, she announced that she was getting married in 2024. For once, I felt genuinely happy for her. I congratulated her and her fiancé, and she hugged me for the first time in years. I remember thinking that maybe, just maybe, we were finally turning a corner. A few months after her wedding announcement, everything changed. We got a call from Ethan's younger brother, Lucas, 26M. His doctor had just diagnosed him with an extremely aggressive illness. The news didn't feel real at first. Without thinking twice, Ethan and I packed our bags and rushed to be with his family. Ethan was incredibly close to Lucas, and watching him try to stay strong broke my heart. They had already lost their father when they were young, so the thought of losing another family member was unbearable. One night, while we were staying with his family, Ethan proposed to me completely out of the blue. I was shocked. We had talked about marriage before, but I never expected a proposal during such a painful time. Ethan explained that he was terrified his brother might not live long enough to see us get married. He told me he loved me, wanted to spend his life with me, and didn't see a reason to wait anymore. I understood him completely. I loved him, and I knew how much this would mean to Lucas and the rest of his family, so I said yes. We agreed we didn't want a big, extravagant wedding. Neither of us cared about large guest lists or fancy venues. We just wanted something small and meaningful with the people closest to us. When his family found out, they were overjoyed. Lucas cried, hugged us, and told us how happy he was. Seeing that made everything feel right. The only thing weighing on my mind was my sister's upcoming wedding. I didn't want to trigger her competitiveness again, and I truly believed we were too old for that kind of behavior. So before telling anyone else, I decided to call her. She already knew about Lucas's condition. I explained the proposal, told her we were planning a small wedding later that year, and reassured her that we weren't trying to overshadow her big day. I made it clear how important this was for Ethan's brother. Her reaction was immediate and brutal. She accused me of being jealous and said I was using a dying person as an excuse to rush into marriage just so I could get married first. She told me this was why she had hated me since the day I was born. I broke down. I was already emotionally drained from everything happening with Lucas, and hearing my own sister say those things crushed me. I told her she was the first person in the family I called because I genuinely believed we could be happy for each other for once. She started screaming over the phone, calling me a jealous snob, and saying she would never attend my wedding. Then she crossed a line I can never forget. She said she wished Ethan had died instead of his brother because that would have stopped me from getting married. I was shaking. I couldn't believe the level of hatred she still held toward me. When I talked to my parents afterward, they reassured me that I had done nothing wrong. They said they were happy for both of their daughters and promised they would attend my wedding no matter what. Their support meant everything to me. We went ahead with the wedding. It was small, intimate, and exactly what Ethan and I wanted. We took pictures with Lucas, and for that one day, everyone was truly happy. While I posted a few wedding photos online, my sister called me almost immediately. For a split second, I thought she might be calling to apologize or at least say congratulations. Instead, she demanded that I delete the pictures because she didn't want family members to know I had gotten married before her. She told me I could repost them after her wedding. I refused. I told her it was ridiculous to expect me to hide my marriage. I said she could hate me if she wanted, but I was done trying to fix something she kept breaking. She called me insufferable and officially uninvited me from her wedding. I told her I was fine with that and asked her to leave me alone. Ethan and I were genuinely happy in our marriage. He worked an extremely high-pressure job and wasn't allowed to take additional time off, so shortly after the wedding, we had to fly back home. Ethan had always been an attentive partner, and marriage didn't change that. If anything, he tried even harder to show up for me despite the stress of his career. A few months later, my sister finally got married to Ryan 34M as planned. Even though she had uninvited me and I didn't attend the wedding, I still sent her a massive bouquet of flowers along with a note congratulating her. I saw the pictures online, and despite everything between us, I was genuinely happy for her. That happiness didn't last long. Just weeks after her wedding, my mom called me in tears. She told me Susan had been cheating on Ryan with one of her coworkers and that he had just found out. It quickly turned into a huge family scandal. Susan tried to defend herself by claiming she wanted an open marriage, but Ryan had never agreed to that. In the end, he filed for an annulment and walked away. We all felt terrible for him. He truly seemed to love her, and once again, Susan had destroyed something good. As if that wasn't enough, tragedy struck again. Around the same time, Ethan's brother Lucas passed away. We immediately flew out for the funeral, and Ethan completely fell apart. Losing his brother broke something inside him. After that, he was never the same man I married. He became distant, angry, and unpredictable. He would snap over the smallest things and lash out constantly. I begged him to go to grief counseling, but even though he attended a few sessions, nothing changed. He stopped going to work altogether and eventually got fired. Days turned into weeks of him sitting around in pajamas, playing video games, or watching sports. I was working as a paramedic, doing exhausting 12-hour shifts, and I was the only one bringing in money at that point. Every attempt I made to talk to him was brushed off or met with irritation. Therapy didn't help because he refused to help himself. That's when I started noticing strange behavior. He suddenly became very secretive with his phone. He would hide it, flip it over, or take calls in another room. He constantly asked when I'd be home and even encouraged me to stay late at work. He showed zero interest in me, never asked how my day went, and spent money recklessly, either going out or buying things for himself. Then my life changed again. I found out I was 3 months pregnant. I hadn't been getting my period, but I assumed it was due to stress and exhaustion. Pregnancy was the last thing on my mind. When I told Ethan, his reaction was neutral. I told him immediately that if he didn't want to be a father, he was free to walk away. He reassured me that he was happy and wanted this. My pregnancy was brutal. I suffered from severe nausea and vomiting and was later diagnosed with hyperemesis gravidarum. I could barely function. I stopped working for 4 months, barely left the house, and struggled to get through each day. My parents stepped in to help with cooking and cleaning because I physically couldn't. During that time, Ethan managed to get another job and started providing for us. I promised him that once I recovered and had the baby, I'd return to work because staying at home wasn't something I ever wanted long-term. But tensions kept rising. When he came home from work, we would argue. He called me lazy and dramatic for not doing enough around the house, even when I was visibly in pain. I felt completely alone. Then the day my water broke came. I called Ethan 12 times. He didn't answer once. I texted him that I was in labor and told him to meet me at the hospital. My parents drove me there immediately. As I lay in the hospital bed, shaking and in pain, my phone buzzed with a notification. My mom, who was holding my hand in the delivery room, checked my phone, assuming it was Ethan. Her face went completely pale. She refused to tell me what she saw. I begged her, my heart racing with fear, until she finally handed me my phone, tears in her eyes. It was a photo, a picture of my sister, Susan, lying naked in bed next to Ethan. Under it, she had written, "Good luck being a single mother. I took your husband." I felt numb. I called Ethan immediately. He picked up after a few rings and casually asked why I was calling. I screamed at him, demanding to know what he was doing with my sister. He calmly told me he had fallen in love with her. He explained that after his brother's death, Susan had reached out to support him. One conversation turned into another, and eventually, they started an affair. It had been going on for months. He admitted he planned to keep it a secret until after I gave birth, but Susan didn't want to wait anymore. I knew instantly that she had chosen this exact moment on purpose. He started apologizing. I cut him off and told him I didn't want to hear it. I told him I would see him in court. Cheating has always been a hard deal breaker for me. And even though my heart felt like it had been shattered into a million pieces by the man I loved and trusted, the father of my child, sleeping with my own sister, I refused to let it completely destroy me. I cried throughout my entire delivery, overwhelmed by both physical pain and heartbreak. Despite everything, my daughter Lily was born healthy and strong, and the moment I held her, something inside me shifted. My mom cried tears of joy, and my dad couldn't stop staring at my baby, smiling and congratulating me over and over again. Friends and family came to visit, offering love and support. I made sure everyone knew the truth about what Susan had done, including the photo she sent me while I was in labor. My parents immediately called Susan and told her they were done. They said what she did was unforgivable and that they were ashamed of her actions. They told her not to contact them again. Susan tried to argue, claiming she and Ethan were in love, but my dad shut her down and informed her she was being cut out of their will. After that, we blocked her everywhere. Some relatives and cousins sent her angry messages, and honestly, I didn't stop them. What she did deserved to be called out. I also informed Ethan's mother about what her son had done. She was horrified and tried to reason with him, but it didn't matter. I was done. I was divorcing him no matter what. My parents helped me move all my belongings back into their house. Ethan tried confronting me, saying that after talking to his mom, he realized he had made a huge mistake, but I didn't even look at him. I refused to let him see Lily until everything was handled legally. I didn't trust him anywhere near my child after what he and Susan had done. While staying with my parents, I hired a good lawyer and filed for divorce. Ethan tried hard to avoid paying alimony, but the judge didn't buy it. He had cheated on me while I was pregnant, and the court made that very clear. I was granted primary custody, and Ethan was only allowed supervised visits. My lawyer also presented evidence of Ethan's unstable behavior and depression after his brother's death, which further supported my case. It has been about 9 months since the divorce was finalized. Ethan pays child support regularly, but he barely visits Lily. He has tried to apologize multiple times, but I ignore him completely. I went back to work as a paramedic, and my mom watches Lily while I'm on shift. When I get home, I take over. My daughter is the only reason I've been able to keep going. Then yesterday, out of nowhere, I received a call from an unknown number. When I answered, I heard Susan's voice. I froze. I had blocked her months ago. She begged me not to hang up and explained that she'd been trying to reach me for months and finally used a friend's phone. I told her firmly that I had nothing to say and to never call me again. That's when she blurted out that Lily was going to have a little brother. I felt shock, disbelief, and anger all at once. I demanded an explanation, and she told me she was pregnant with Ethan's child. She said I should forgive her now for the sake of her baby, and that since she was going to be a mother, we should put everything behind us. I told her flat out that I didn't care whether she was pregnant or not. I wanted nothing to do with her. Susan completely lost it. She started screaming that because of me, our parents, and the entire family had cut her off. She said Ethan wanted nothing to do with the baby and was pressuring her to terminate the pregnancy, and that she had no one to support her during such a difficult time. I laughed. I reminded her that she knowingly slept with my husband while I was pregnant and then sent me a photo of it while I was giving birth. I told her she made her choices and now had to live with them. I told her to enjoy single motherhood without a support system and hung up. Since then, I've talked to a few friends about what happened. The reactions have been mixed. Some think I'm absolutely right for cutting her off completely. Others think I'm being too harsh, especially since I know firsthand how hard pregnancy and motherhood can be when you're alone. Cheating has always been a hard deal breaker for me. And even though my heart felt like it had been shattered into a million pieces by the man I loved and trusted, the father of my child, sleeping with my own sister, I refused to let it completely destroy me. I cried throughout my entire delivery, overwhelmed by both physical pain and heartbreak. Despite everything, my daughter Lily was born healthy and strong, and the moment I held her, something inside me shifted. My mom cried tears of joy, and my dad couldn't stop staring at my baby, smiling and congratulating me over and over again. Friends and family came to visit, offering love and support. I made sure everyone knew the truth about what Susan had done, including the photo she sent me while I was in labor. My parents immediately called Susan and told her they were done. They said what she did was unforgivable and that they were ashamed of her actions. They told her not to contact them again. Susan tried to argue, claiming she and Ethan were in love, but my dad shut her down and informed her she was being cut out of their will. After that, we blocked her everywhere. Some relatives and cousins sent her angry messages, and honestly, I didn't stop them. What she did deserved to be called out. I also informed Ethan's mother about what her son had done. She was horrified and tried to reason with him, but it didn't matter. I was done. I was divorcing him no matter what. My parents helped me move all my belongings back into their house. Ethan tried confronting me, saying that after talking to his mom, he realized he had made a huge mistake, but I didn't even look at him. I refused to let him see Lily until everything was handled legally. I didn't trust him anywhere near my child after what he and Susan had done. While staying with my parents, I hired a good lawyer and filed for divorce. Ethan tried hard to avoid paying alimony, but the judge didn't buy it. He had cheated on me while I was pregnant, and the court made that very clear. I was granted primary custody, and Ethan was only allowed supervised visits. My lawyer also presented evidence of Ethan's unstable behavior and depression after his brother's death, which further supported my case. It has been about 9 months since the divorce was finalized. Ethan pays child support regularly, but he barely visits Lily. He has tried to apologize multiple times, but I ignore him completely. I went back to work as a paramedic, and my mom watches Lily while I'm on shift. When I get home, I take over. My daughter is the only reason I've been able to keep going. Then yesterday, out of nowhere, I received a call from an unknown number. When I answered, I heard Susan's voice. I froze. I had blocked her months ago. She begged me not to hang up and explained that she'd been trying to reach me for months and finally used a friend's phone. I told her firmly that I had nothing to say and to never call me again. That's when she blurted out that Lily was going to have a little brother. I felt shock, disbelief, and anger all at once. I demanded an explanation, and she told me she was pregnant with Ethan's child. She said I should forgive her now for the sake of her baby, and that since she was going to be a mother, we should put everything behind us. I told her flat out that I didn't care whether she was pregnant or not. I wanted nothing to do with her. Susan completely lost it. She started screaming that because of me, our parents and the entire family had cut her off. She said Ethan wanted nothing to do with the baby and was pressuring her to terminate the pregnancy, and that she had no one to support her during such a difficult time. I laughed. I reminded her that she knowingly slept with my husband while I was pregnant and then sent me a photo of it while I was giving birth. I told her she made her choices and now had to live with them. I told her to enjoy single motherhood without a support system and hung up. Since then, I've talked to a few friends about what happened. The reactions have been mixed. Some think I'm absolutely right for cutting her off completely. Others think I'm being too harsh, especially since I know firsthand how hard pregnancy and motherhood can be when you're alone. So here I am on Reddit, asking for an unbiased opinion. AITA for refusing to forgive my sister after she slept with my ex-husband and completely destroyed my life. Update 1. Okay guys, I've read a lot of your comments, and they've definitely given me a lot to think about. I want to clarify something first. I blame my ex-husband just as much as I blame my sister for what they did to me. The reason it hurt more coming from her is because she has competed with me my entire life. I still don't fully understand why. All I ever wanted was an older sister I could look up to. Instead, I grew up with a sister who bullied me and constantly tried to outdo me. That's something I've carried with me for years. I know some people think forgiveness is necessary to move on, but I don't think I'll ever be able to forgive her. Not after everything. That said, I've decided I will speak to my parents and let them know that if they want to have a relationship with my sister and her child, I won't stand in their way. That choice is theirs. Update 2. It's been about 4 months since my last update, and a lot of people have been messaging me asking how things are going. Sorry for the delay. Work and taking care of my daughter have been keeping me busy. For those asking, Lily is doing great. She's healthy, happy, and somehow gets cuter every single day. I fall in love with her all over again, constantly. Ethan rarely visits her, and honestly, I don't mind. When Lily is older, I'll explain everything to her in an age-appropriate way. For now, she's surrounded by love from me and my parents. Now for the actual update. I sat my parents down and told them that my sister was pregnant. They were just as shocked as I was. I explained that it was Ethan's child and that he wanted no real involvement beyond financial support. My mom started crying, and seeing my parents like that broke my heart. I could tell how deeply disappointed they were in my sister. Eventually, my dad called Ethan and had a serious conversation with him. Ethan admitted that after our divorce, he stopped seeing my sister because she lost interest in him and started dating multiple men. He said he was hurt and eventually walked away. A few weeks later, she contacted him again and told him she was pregnant. Ethan told her that since they weren't together and had no plans to reconcile, she could consider not going through with the pregnancy. According to him, my sister said she wanted to be a mother just like me and told him to prepare himself. Ethan tried to convince her to really think it through, reminding her how hard pregnancy and childcare are. She apparently responded by saying that if I could do it, then so could she. He told my dad he was willing to pay child support but wanted no relationship with the child. After hearing all of this, my parents finally realized that my sister hadn't changed at all. Even now, she was still competing with me. Honestly, I was exhausted. I don't want my daughter growing up in an environment filled with resentment and drama like I did. I told my parents again that they were free to have a relationship with my sister if they wanted, but they didn't seem eager. Around this time, I also started looking for a place of my own so Lily and I could move out. Update 3. Hi everyone. I'm back with another update about 5 months later, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been following my story and offering advice. I did end up moving out of my parents' house. Lily and I now have our own place. I hired a babysitter who watches her while I'm at work, and having my own space again has helped my mental health more than I can explain. Being a single parent is hard, but I'm managing one day at a time. My sister gave birth to a baby boy. My mom was the only one who went to see her. My dad refused. My mom told her how disappointed everyone was and made it clear that she only showed up because of the child. My sister begged for forgiveness, but my mom told her that our relationship with her was over. I know that decision must hurt her deeply, but my sister has crossed too many lines. My dad wants nothing to do with her and has stood firm on that. My parents continue to support me and Lily however they can. They visit us almost every weekend, and Lily absolutely adores them. Ethan continues to pay child support, not just for Lily, but now also for my sister's child. I honestly can't describe how humiliating this entire situation still feels. There are nights when I cry myself to sleep because the betrayal still hurts more than I'd like to admit. That's why I've started therapy. I know healing isn't linear, and I understand it's going to take time. But for now, I'm choosing peace. For myself, and for my daughter.